Cheese. Hello, I am Cheese, and today we have another artistic tank rant. Yay, I'm so excited, can't you tell? Today we're talking about the T-34-57. Now the T-34-57 was the T-34, they had the T-34 and they took the T-34 and they wanted an upgraded gun. I should talk slower. So, the T-34-57. They took, in 1940, they wanted an upgraded gun on the T-3040. T-3040, geez, the T-34. So, one of the guns tested was the high-velocity 57 millimeter gun. So, it went into testing around 1940, 1941, where they took this high-velocity 57 millimeter gun and into the T-34. And it was produced in very, very small numbers in 1941, from 1941 to 1943. And it was not classified as a medium tank. It was classified as a turreted tank destroyer. They made a tank with extra steps. It's a turreted tank It's a turreted tank destroyer. That's a tank. Tank destroyer, like that's a Nashorn or the M13 GMC, where they got the 37 millimeter gun on it. It's something where it's like I classify it as like a lighter tank, less armored, with a high powerful gun, like the Nashorn or stuff like that. Sturmil, those. So it's basically just a tank, but they classified it as a turreted tank destroyer. Now, the reason they really like the high velocity 57 millimeter, even though it was, I think it's around the same, it was around the same size as the original gun, but since they went up in velocity, it could punch through more armor. And this was like one of the early examples of, like, modern tanks nowadays, their armor is incredibly good, but they beat it not by sheer size of the shell, but by velocity. If you yeet something fast enough, it will punch through anything. And that's why, for instance, armor-piercing discarding sabos work so well. They are flying extremely fast. They have a small point of contact, so they just eat through anything. Whereas in World War II, they wanted more penetration. They just got a bigger gun. For instance, like the Panzer IIIs, they're upgraded to the 50 millimeter main gun, and then the Panzer IVs, 75, and then the Tigers, that 88. But for instance, I do a lot of research on German tanks, so I'm going to be using that as my baseline. I don't know. The early model Panzer IVs, and even like the Panzer IV H2 with the long barreled 75 millimeter, their guns were inadequate compared to the Panthers, even though they're the same millimeter. The Panther's gun was a high velocity 75. See, bullet going fast. That's where the T-34-57 shown. With this high velocity, the 57 millimeter guns could penetrate like 70 millimeters of armor at like 70 millimeters of slightly angled armor at like 1,000 yards or 1,000 meters, which is pretty good for an early World War II tank. And especially that would be pretty good against, again, Panzers and whatever Italy was churning out, because Italian tanks were paper. So, the T-34-57. I'm not a fan of T-34s. I think they're overrated. Fight me. But I really like it, because again, it's one of those interesting factors of velocity beats shell mass every time. Unless you're doing high explosive shells and get the then that's why with with mobile howitzers, they're still 155, 150 millimeters, and modern tanks are like 105, 120 millimeters. Because again, velocity, they're yeeting that thing as far as they could. Now, the T-34-57, if it went into mass production, there wouldn't have been a difference in the outcome of World War II. You can't say, well, Russia was mass producing tanks, but they just hunkered down and waited for winter. But, thinking of that, Germany did not make the same mistake as Napoleon. Everyone says, oh, they made the same mistake as Napoleon and invaded in the winter. They invaded in the summer, or spring and summer. But Russia kept, psych, we're retreating. Psych, we're retreating. Psych, we're retreating. And just basically, and then they would prolong they wouldn't surrender. So basically, they're just kind of funneling Germany in. Just, yeah, come on in, come on in. And then they get to Moscow, Stalingrad, all that. And by the time they get there, then it's getting into winter. So now they hold off, and they hold off until winter, and then Germany gets caught in the winter, and then, where am I going with this? I gotta keep on track. T-34. So, it was a designated tank hunter. Again, I'm going to use another example of Germany. It has designated tank hunters. The Panzer IVs, the early Panzer IVs with the short barrel, 75 millimeters, were sent in as infantry support, and I don't think it was not mobile artillery. It was more along they could just take out enemy fortifications, but they were sent in with Panzer IIIs with the high velocity 50 millimeter gun. And the 50 millimeter gun was they were for tank-on-tank engagement, even though the Panzer IVs had a bigger gun, but they had less velocity. I've said this enough, velocity beats shell mass every time. T-34-57. What are my thoughts? It's a cool tank, another cool thing of history, I went off the rails so many times in this. I am tired. I had to go check because we think we had trespassers out here. Yay! If anything, I am cheese. Tanks. I like tanks. Tanks. Feel like tanks. 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 Have a good day.